What's going on, people, and welcome to a brand new episode of Too Many Games and Not Enough Time, the podcast where I get to talk to incredible gamers across the globe. Now, I've got to say, I'm humbled and really loving all of the support on the podcast. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're loving the rebrand because I love it and it looks mad. But talking about madness, I am super excited to have the creator I have today. We are talking a guy whose face you get to see at the Game Awards. We're talking creator of the Spawnies Video Game Awards that celebrate Black devs. Them man, they be giving Greg Miller hell in WWE. We are talking the CEO of Spawn on Me, and you know he's the best cook in the game, Kahlief Adams. Welcome to Too Many Games and Not Enough Time, my G.
Bam. Thank you so much for having me. All of those wonderful accolades, blessing me, luxuriating my skin. I'm feeling beautiful and glistening now because of all the lovely comments and things you just shared. Thank you so much for having me. I'm ready to rock. It's going to be dope.
You are glistening. Now, do you know what? We're going to get straight into it. As you can see, I've got my old school jumper. We're old school gamers. It's a good thing black don't crack because we still look good. I want to know, how did you start your gaming journey? Because I listen to a lot of stuff about you, and I never really hear you talking about how your gaming journey starts. So break it down for us.
Ooh, I'm old. So it's like I go way back in the day when it comes to when I started gaming. I think the thing I tell people all the time is to let them know how old I am. I was like, yo, my first gaming console had wood paneling on it. That's
wow. I was Atari in it.
I was Atari in it, ColecoVision in it, and I was playing some stuff that people haven't heard of. I was playing stuff on a Bally Astrocade. Vextrex, stuff that's old school stuff. So I've been playing games since I was probably like 3 or 4. And it's been, a journey ever since, going through every era of what we've been able to do. The arcade era was super transformative for me, being able to go play with real human beings next to each other and talk a whole bunch of mess and then run so I didn't get beat up. And having those conversations live and in person. But, it's been such a fantastic, just like, transition through all of those eras. But it started from the Atari. It started from Pong. It started from all those games way back in the day. And now getting to see people who look like us every day in games and exactly us now in games these days. It's a wild journey for sure.
Do you know what? I think a lot of kids don't realize how important arcades was. So I remember like being a younger you, and my god brother took me to the arcade. I say the arcade, it was a chicken shop. He took me to the chicken shop, and in the chicken shop they had a Street Fighter, and all I remember is how loud it was. And I remember the elephants on Dow Sims stage, and you could hear them elephants from outside. And all you hear is a man going, Hadouken, and the next man going, Sonic Boom, Sonic Boom. And that was like, oh my God. I didn't even know, because I knew about video games, but I didn't know video games could feel like that. Like, how did it feel actually being in them arcades and like really putting up your money, fam? It's not even like you had to put up your P's to be able to play.
It used to be so much fun because it just had this layer, which sadly you don't have a lot of that now. Like I think the people who have it the closest now are folks who are in the fighting game tournament scene, right? Like they're going to go, battle other competitors and other combatants like literally next to them, like we used to do in the arcade. But I remember that same thing. Like we had I wouldn't say it was a proper arcade hall, but we had like an arcade / pool hall, which meant your behind wasn't supposed to be in the pool park because you're too young. So you had to go in the back and go to the arcade stuff. But I love hearing you talking about the chicken shop, because I think like we had that version in the pizzeria, right? So we had the pizzerias in the hood, and you would go and you would hear, like, I remember it wasn't the Hadoukens and it wasn't the Sonic Booms, but I do remember the elephants. But I also remember that when Blanca used to charge up, he used to have that sound, and he would be like, you would hear that joint deep in the back of the arcade. But it was a beautiful moment in time for gaming, because you had this new technology that was being kind of, displayed and shared within the space. it was the first time where if you really wanted to play a thing, there was no other option to get those games. You had to go to the arcade. You had to put your quarter on the console and be ready to get up there and be like, yo, and now it's time. I put my quarter down. It was like, side-eyeing people now is like so virtual now. Like you side-eye people, you be shading people on Twitter, you be saying things on stuff. But like you put your quarter up and you got to look at somebody like you about to have a UFC fight. They'd be like right here. And you be like, yo, we about to get this business. You about to take my quarter. I'm about to take your quarter. So it was great.
Down. Yeah,
it was so fantastic. Like I just don't think that people understand how good that era was, because it was a place of knowledge, because you didn't know stuff. Like guides weren't a thing really. I remember playing Mortal Kombat 1 for the first time and seeing my first fatality and not knowing that was a part of what this game was, and then seeing everybody like crowd around the one kid who did the fatality to be like, yo, you are now this like bastion of knowledge. You know all this stuff.
Like, you are top boss, fam. I still don't know how to do fatalities. I do the easy ones. So let's jump forward to right now.
Yeah.
Fam, I can't believe how good WWE 2K22 is. Like, I was a kid who loved wrestling, and then as an adult, I'd never fallen out. I fell completely out of it. I know quite a lot of like friends and other people in the community who watch WrestleMania and stuff like that. And we've got a gaming convention in the UK called EGX. It's our biggest, but it's not nowhere like close to an E3 or something like that. And I remember going there and seeing 2K, I think it's 2K20. And I was like, how does this game look so bad? It looks so bad. They was like, do you want to play it? I was like, no, I don't even want to. Like, what is like, fam? Is like, this looks like a PlayStation 1 game. Like, well, not that bad. Well, it looked like a PlayStation 2 game. Yeah. But the new one is so good. I see you making Kahlief up in there looking all slick and that. How are you doing it?
Yo, it's good. I was surprised because I like, same with you. I grew up as a wrestling fan. I'm still a wrestling fan. I dip in and out because it was, for a while, there was a bunch of folks who I was just like, I don't know who this is. Like, I don't know this cat. This cat is just another muscle bound dude who'd be throwing people in the air. I'm like, whatever. Because it didn't have that like that energy that I remember from the Attitude Era and the stuff that I had when I was growing up. But the game now is really good. Like I am actually more surprised at how well this new version of the game has been, not only from a customization perspective, but like the showcase mode in that game is so great, because if you're a fan of old wrestling, they're focusing this year on Rey Mysterio, or at least in this first version of it. And they do this really cool thing where they'll like put you into a match, give you some objectives, give you some story to begin the whole conversation, and then they'll intersperse full motion video stuff of the old matches in the moves that you then need to do to like cross over those two layers of the thing. So you're like playing a movie while playing the match, and also going back in and making your character do all the things and love for them to do. It's been really, really a fun experience so far, and like you said in the beginning, Greg Miller gonna get this whooping at some point. He keep ducking me, but he gonna get this work.
Do you know what's mad as well? Like, so I haven't even played the showcase. Like, I was lucky enough to get it pretty early from 2K. Yeah. And fam, all I've been doing is tournaments, like creating tournaments. Like Undertaker's my guy. I've been putting Undertaker in. I've been putting Hollywood Hogan. Like, I've been Goldberg. All of them old school man. Putting the belt on the line and just going through tournaments and having like the time of my life. Now, Kahlief, we've known each other for a while now.
Yeah.
And we met back at E3 2019. One of the things that have always been instrumental about me, and we spoke about it on your podcast, Spawn and Me, was that when I get to see someone who's got the same energy and passion and a very mirror effect of me, just feeling their energy, not even talking to them, I have to go over to and talk to them, and we met and stuff like that. But I want to take you back to that E3. Now, there were so many games, and there's so many booths, and there's so many things that you went to see. And then you sat down and you got to see CyberPunk 2077. We got to see CyberPunk 2077, and I walked out like, oh my gosh, gaming is never gonna be the same. Like, gaming has changed. I cannot believe this is what video games are gonna be. This can't be this generation. It must be next. How did you feel the first time you played CyberPunk?
I was in the front row when they did the media conversation. They pull you into a room, set you up, do all this stuff. It's me, Cicero Holmes, shout out to C, I love you, and Jeff Keighley, all sitting in the front. And we're watching this thing, and we're looking at each other, and we had that same expression that you had. We were like, yo, this is going to be one of the biggest things that has ever come to gaming. Because they were just like, everything just sounded like we hadn't heard about the way this kind of game would work before, and the systems and the way you'd be able to spec out your character and how you were going to be able to live all these various lives and talk to all these different people and how it was going to affect the story. And then it came out and it was doo-doo. And I was like, no, I was like, what is happening?
I haven't finished the game because
me neither.
The game hard crashed on my PS5 15 times. And that's more crashes than I've had for the whole PS4 generation. 15 times. And I remember doing a mission, and I was doing this mission with Panam, and I was trying to romance Panam, and then something didn't work. So I went back for about half an hour, replayed it all, and literally it just froze. And then Panam and everyone around there was just looking, and I just deleted it. And I haven't gone back still. I've downloaded the PS5 version, and I'm gonna check it out once I've finished all of the games. But
I did play the PS5 version of late because I went and I was like, you know what, let me go back because I've heard so many good things from people. Actually, like when the PC version came out, I didn't have actual like problems with it from a buggy standpoint. It just, to me, was kind of boring. I was like, the conversations there that we expected after hearing all that stuff just didn't match up with it. But I did wind up buying the PS5 version, and it does feel a lot better than the previous version that they had out before they had to literally pull it off the store. Because it was not playing well.
That is mad. That's something I've never heard of in my career. Like, it's crazy. Now, Kahlief, do you know what I really love about you? And it's something that I feel like an energy that I kind of put out, and something that I want to kind of talk to you about just briefly and kind of commend you about it at the same time. So obviously Spawn on Me is an incredible platform, and you've been working a long time to create a space for Black creators, and obviously going on to do your awards and doing some really incredible things, and just kudos to you. But one of the things that I love about you, and I feel like I try to resonate a lot and kind of do it, and sometimes you get mad and you slip, but I feel like you're in this space in a positive manner. So like, there's things that need to be changed and there's things that's wrong, but how do we work on this and how do we make it better, rather than let me scream, let me scream, let me shout, let me scream, let me shout. Has that always just been like how you are as a person? Is that like a psychological thing? Like, why do you come with that a positive approach rather than being on Twitter just crying about everything?
You know what? It's funny that you say that, because I think for me, it has been an evolution over the past 10 years of doing this work. I've been in the industry proper for about 12 years with the blog that we started, and then now with the show, and then we doing my 9-to-5 job stuff when I had a job. I was very cynical within the gaming space. I was never at the far end spectrum where people were like screaming at people and calling them terrible things and doing that stuff, because my mama raised me right. But it was one of those things where people are like, is it half empty, half full? Is the glass half empty, half full? I thought I was a half broken glass person for a long time. I was like, nah, this is all bad and terrible, and there's bad stuff here. But what happened was, and then maybe this happened through the show, maybe this happened through getting older or learning and being connected to a lot of folks within the industry. I started to see that being nuanced, or at least trying to come to a conversation with a nuanced point of view, which is inherently me. I think some of that is definitely within me as a person who believes in truth, as a person who believes that you can look at a situation from multiple angles and try to figure out where the good pieces of it are, even in a terrible situation. But that's also like a very logical thing for me. Like I am an emotional human being, but logic is the kind of driving force for at least most of the stuff that I do. And just seeing all that energy of people being like on team mad all the time, like there's no reason to be perma mad about anything within the gaming industry. I just don't believe that. Like I think that there are spaces in which, you know, there are absolutely things that are terrible. There are working conditions that need to get fixed. There's harassment within the space between, you know, folks that are in the industry proper and folks kind of on the outside, you know, infecting that with and towards people within the industry. But like at the end of the day, we all have various levels of choice in which we can enact upon situations. We also have different ways that we can use our platforms to talk about those things in a way that is informative for the audience or for whoever it is that you're trying to talk to, while also being able to say like, look, there's another human being on the other side of this conversation somewhere, right? How do we get to that layer of discourse where we can have this, you know, sometimes contentious conversation, but also be like, look, we're on this planet for a very small amount of time. The gaming industry is never, we're like not saving people's lives with the gaming industry, potentially through like the work being good and some of the games being emotional and you having that emotional attachment. But like, if you don't get a game to launch, no one's going to die. If you don't get that review out, nobody's going to die. Right. So I think it's a lot of those things of having that perspective of being like, all right, let's talk about the hard stuff. Let's not move away from hard conversations, but also let's try to find smart, interesting, and balanced versions of conversations too that we can share, because no one is in this industry working as hard as they do with everything just being awful all the time. There has to be
100%.
people who are enjoying their time in this space.
Well, the reason why we're in this space is because of our passion. Like it's a passionate thing. I've worked in music. I know so many people I know authors, I know movie goers, and I don't know any more people that are more passionate about gamers. Like I've never met two movie buffs arguing about, you're not a real movie buff. You don't really love films. Like gamers, the passion that we have is incredible. Now, like I said, I've known of you from like 2019, and then I kind of started seeing a lot more stuff you're doing. And One of the things that was really impressive and really great to me is how much Kind of Funny has really kind of pushed forward and spotlighted you. Now, I've been a huge like Greg and Colin fan from IGN days, and like I'm a big Kind of Funny best friend. I'm not someone that's in the community per se. I'm always there. I watch all the videos. I pay the Patreon, but I'm a creator. I'm not sitting there like, oh, come and look at me. But I love the relationship that you have with them and how much they've spotlighted you. How does that all come about?
That was also like a really interesting moment where, you know, Greg and I had met each other at various conventions and stuff. I was, again, a big fan of his prior to him, you know, making Kind of Funny. And we wound up just getting in similar circles, going to a lot of conferences and saying what's up and being like, yo, what's going on? But I remember very specifically one day, Gary Whitta, who, you know, has made, you know, Book of Eli, wrote Star Wars movies. He had one of my shirts on.
Spoken.
Yeah, for Spoken. I have a shirt that we have as merch that has my face on it. And I'm watching Kind of Funny one day and he's wearing my shirt. He's wearing my face on his shirt.
Yeah, I've seen that episode.
Yeah, and Greg was like, who's that picture of? He was like, oh, this is Spawn on Me's Kahlief Adams, da 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 da. And then that sparked a lot of conversation there. To kind of like you know, invigorate that layer of us being cool and having conversations. It's been great to be able to go on the shows and be a part of that community in that way. You know, I have such a bigger and broader level of respect for Greg now. Remember when I got a chance to be on Kind of Funny and like go to the studio proper and just seeing how hard that small team works when they were even smaller. You know, it just is super inspiring as a person who's in that creative space too, to be able to see people grind that hard.
Nah, it's dope. Kahlief, we haven't got that much time. We're a short form podcast. I could speak to you all day. We've done a longer talk, so make sure you go over to Spawn and Me and see what we've done over there. But if someone is feeling your energy, feeling the vibe, feeling the swag right now because you're glistening, and they want to check out everything you're doing, check out Spawn on Me, and really become part of your community, where would you send them?
Go check out Kahlief Adams at Kahlief Adams on Twitter, at Spawn on Me on Twitter. We do our show live every Wednesday evening, 6 p.m. PST Pacific time on twitch.tv/Spawn on Me. We do that every week. And then the shows then go out on all the broadcast networks on Friday, usually around 6 a.m. PST. So you can come check us out there. And then we're doing a whole bunch of various stuff. I'm hosting a show on NBC in a couple of weeks. We're doing that work with the Fan Control Football folks. So you'll see a lot of me in the next couple of months moving forward. So come through and come check out.
I love it. And I can't let you leave without cussing Paris's cooking.
Oh, I mean, look, if you want to die, then go eat that man's food. If you want to leave this eternal plane early, if you want to Elden Ring yourself, then you would eat some of his food and put yourself out of the misery.
Man said, if you want to Elden Ring yourself. Thank you so much to staying to the end of the podcast. If you're listening to us on Spotify, come over to the YouTube, give us a thumbs up, give us a like. I'm going to have the link to Kahlief Adams in the bio, so make sure you check him out. He does some incredible things in the space. He hasn't been in the space so long sleeping, you know. He has been creating waves, so go and check him out. He's been Kahlief Adams. I've been Mr. Midas. You've been the MVPs, and we out of here. Peace.
Peace.